Hi 239 students, this is a quick check-in to let you know we've wrapped up weeks 7 and 8 and we are now moving into weeks 9 and 10. I really enjoyed reading about your ELL experiences on Rosetta Stone and all of the other apps and programs that you mentioned. I had no idea there were so many out there. It sounds like Rosetta Stone has really cut back on its demo time, which is unfortunate. But it was nice to read that a lot of you felt like you could better empathize with ELL students and how difficult and frustrating it could be, how long it takes to learn another language. And then lastly, it was really interesting because all of you mentioned different things helping you. Some of you liked the audio, some of you liked the visual input that was given. A lot of you had a hard time not having immediate feedback. So those are all things to consider with different learning styles. Every single one of your ELL kids will be learning differently, will be more advanced than others at certain things. You know, it's kind of like, is it easier for you to write in a different language or speak in a different language or listen and understand? And so it's good that you guys took the time to do that. Also, the article Winning Schools for ELLs was published in 2009, so it's a little bit older. And a few of you mentioned wondering if those schools are still so successful. And so I tried to find an updated article, and I haven't so far been able to, but if I do find one, I'll be sure to post it for you. I think the bottom line is just understanding that schools that are on the same page and the staff, the administration, the parents, the community, they all have the same goals and are all reinforcing them, make a huge difference. And that's ideal. I've worked in schools that are like that, and I've worked in schools that aren't like that, and it makes a huge difference. And some of you said, how can teachers keep this up? Or how can the school, put this much effort in? And I think if you're in a situation, it's kind of like the idea behind motivation. We don't tend to work harder for more money. We work harder when we feel like we're fulfilled. And so when it's very fulfilling to see these students be successful and these families be successful, then you want to keep doing it and it doesn't feel like work. That's the place where we want teachers to be. As we move into weeks 9 and 10, you will not have a ton of work due. We're going to read chapter 6, Differentiated Instruction, which is one that applies to every single teacher on the face of this planet, how to change your instruction to meet the needs of all learners, not just ELLs. And you'll be posting in the discussion board area some ideas that either you have or have used, or if you're currently a student, I would like you to watch some of your teachers, whether it be college level teachers or if you're doing observations in a second grade classroom or wherever you see teaching going on, and try to take note of how the teacher is differentiating the instruction for those who aren't understanding it or who are at a higher level. And then for chapter 7, it's going to be focused on adjusting discourse, which typically tends to be a focus of ELL teachers, but can also be a form of differentiation for any student who is having a hard time, sometimes that audible input, or if the student has a learning disability, then those are things that you need to consider as a teacher, how you're saying it, what you're saying, what's the main point, is there, so for example, if you put in a lot of details and then somewhere in there have a main point, but it's surrounded by details, students don't always, especially ELL students, don't always know what to focus on. For example, too, you can show a video, and I've done this even in college classes, and I say to outline the video. The things that they picked up on were details. They put a lot of details, but missed the main points altogether sometimes. So that's what you want to do with ELLs, is make it very clear, this is what you need to know before adding in those details later. You're going to be doing a sheltered lesson evaluation, so you're going to watch a teacher first talk about lesson planning, and then you're going to choose from one of 3 videos. Some of them are kind of grainy and hard to hear, so if you start one and feel like it's not a good fit for you, watch a different one, and you will be evaluating one of those 3. You don't have to evaluate all 3 of them. Keep that in mind. You're going to be doing a cultural inquiry this week. So if there's ever a country that you've been interested in knowing more about, or possibly the country of the language you chose to practice with Rosetta Stone or your language learning experience, it's free for all. So this is just kind of a fun assignment for you to look into some of the neat things about other cultures. It's kind of practice in, if you have a student from another country that you know nothing about, taking the time to sit down and learn about that country a little bit before you approach them to teach you more. So the things you can learn about a country by researching them are generally surface culture types of things, you know, holidays, food, language, that type of thing. But to really get to know a culture, you have to be immersed in it or really work hard at getting to know the child and the family of the child from that country to understand their patterns of thinking and those types of things. Then lastly, there are a few things in the announcements area for you to check out if you haven't. I'll try to keep that cleaned up and deleted after a few days. There was a study about how ELL students are doing in Arizona that might be of interest for you to glance at or save and read later. It's kind of thick. But as I find things, I'll be posting them in there. Most of them will be more up-to-date material, so latest and greatest type things. I'll be checking back in again in week 10 when you will start doing your lesson plan. So keep that in mind as we go through these next 2 weeks. The lesson plan is required to pass this class, and hopefully observing and evaluating other SIOP lessons or SEI lessons or shelter lessons or whatever you want to call them will help you consider the lesson that you want to create for this class. All right, I'll check back in soon. Bye.